The massive starship's celestial horizon hung motionless against the backdrop of an unknown star system. Inside the vessel's command deck, Jay Park sat perfectly still, his fingers resting lightly on the advanced rifle that seemed more like a precision instrument of science than a weapon of war. Confederation scouts had been tracking human exploration vessels for months, initially dismissing them as another primitive species trying to navigate the complex galactic political landscape. They were wrong, terribly wrong. The alien communication officer, a tentacled creature named Vrel, clicked and chirped into his communication array. His translators picked up human communication channels, expecting to hear confusion or uncertainty. Instead, they heard calm, calculated responses that sent unexpected chills through his multiple neural pathways. Jay's breathing was measured. Each exhale represented controlled energy, mathematical precision calculated through years of specialized training. His spotter, Hyun Choi, remained equally motionless beside him, their neural links synchronized with technological augmentations that made them more than ordinary soldiers. Sensors aboard the alien vessel began detecting strange energy signatures, small precise electromagnetic pulses that didn't match any known communication protocol. These weren't random signals. They were deliberate, structured, with an underlying complexity that suggested something far beyond primitive technology. The alien commander, a massive creature named Krell, studied the incoming data streams. His multiple eyes analyzed complex holographic displays, trying to understand these unexpected human signals. Something felt different. Something felt dangerous. Humans moved differently. Their technological approach seemed almost predatory, each movement calculated, each technological advancement purposeful. Where other species saw exploration as random discovery, humans treated it like a strategic chess game. Jay's rifle wasn't just a weapon. It was an extension of human technological innovation. Quantum-stabilized optics, neural-linked targeting systems, and adaptive camouflage technology made it something between a scientific instrument and a precision elimination tool. Hyun adjusted, their shared communication link, sending micro-encrypted data bursts that would be indecipherable to most alien communication systems. Their training went beyond traditional military protocols. They were part scientist, part soldier, part technological interface. The Confederation had encountered hundreds of species during their galactic exploration. Some were peaceful, some were aggressive, but none had demonstrated the unique combination of technological innovation and strategic thinking that humans possessed. Jay remembered his training. Not just military training, but the comprehensive education that transformed soldiers into thinking weapons. Understanding physics, mathematics, psychology, and technological integration wasn't just an advantage, it was a fundamental approach to existence. Alien sensors continued scanning, trying to understand these strange human signals. Each scan revealed more complexity, more layers of technological sophistication that didn't match their initial assessment of human capabilities. Krell felt something unusual, a sense of impending challenge that went beyond traditional military confrontations. These humans represented something different, a species that didn't just adapt to technological challenges, but seemed to reshape technological paradigms through their very approach. The starship's massive hull contained hundreds of alien crew members, each believing in their species' technological superiority. They were about to learn a painful lesson about underestimation. Jay's finger remained perfectly still near the rifle's trigger, not from tension, but from calculated readiness. Every muscle, every neural connection was a finely tuned instrument of potential action. Hyun's communication systems continued sending their structured, complex signals. Each burst was a message, not of aggression but of calculated potential, a warning wrapped in technological poetry. The first contact between humans and the Confederation wasn't going to be a moment of peaceful exchange. It was going to be a demonstration of capabilities, a clear statement about humanity's place in the galactic ecosystem. And Jay Park was going to make sure that statement was remembered. The Epsilon Eridani system burned with tension. Massive alien warships hung in Space-like metallic predators, their weapons charged and ready. They believed this would be another simple territorial dispute, a quick demonstration of Confederation military might. J. Park watched through his quantum-enhanced scope, his body perfectly still despite the complex tactical situation unfolding around him. Beside him, Yun Choi managed the advanced communication and targeting systems, their movements synchronized like a single organic machine. Krell Voss, the alien commander, had positioned his fleet with what he believed was overwhelming superiority. Massive battleships surrounded smaller human exploration vessels, expecting immediate surrender or destruction. His tactical displays showed complete tactical dominance, at least according to traditional galactic warfare protocols. The first shots came unexpectedly, not from the massive alien battleships but from impossible distances. Precision strikes that seemed to defy the basic laws of long-range combat. One by one, alien tactical officers disappeared, not through massive explosions, but through surgical, almost clinical eliminations. A communication officer here, a navigation specialist there. Each shot calculated with mathematical precision that suggested something beyond ordinary targeting systems. Krell watched in growing horror as his most advanced tactical units were systematically neutralized. The shots came from distances that should have been impossible. No energy signatures, no warning, just sudden, complete elimination. Human snipers weren't just shooters. They were technological predators who understood warfare as a complex mathematical equation. Each shot was a solution, each elimination a carefully calculated variable. Hyun's communication systems worked silently, jamming alien sensors, creating phantom targeting signatures that confused their defensive systems. The humans weren't just fighting, they were rewriting the entire concept of battlefield engagement. Jay's rifle represented generations of technological innovation, quantum-stabilized optics that could calculate wind resistance, atmospheric interference, and gravitational variations at distances that would make most species targeting systems collapse. Each shot was a scientific experiment wrapped in military potential. The alien fleet began to panic. Traditional battle formations meant nothing against an enemy that could eliminate key personnel from distances that defied comprehension. Massive battleships suddenly felt vulnerable, their technological superiority exposed as a fragile illusion. Krell realized something fundamental had changed. These weren't just soldiers. They were a different kind of technological species, one that saw warfare as a complex problem-solving exercise rather than a simple show of force. Another shot. Another alien tactical officer vanished. The precision was terrifying. Each elimination seemed to carry a message. Humans were not to be underestimated. Hyun's hands moved across communication systems, creating a complex web of technological interference. Alien sensors saw phantom targets, false signals that confused their defensive capabilities. It wasn't just about shooting. It was about controlling the entire battlefield's informational landscape. The Epsilon engagement wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. A clear, calculated statement about human technological capabilities that would reshape galactic military understanding. Jay remained motionless, his breath controlled, his body a living instrument of precision. Each moment was a calculated potential of action, each breath a mathematical possibility of elimination. Alien communication channels began to break down. Panic replaced tactical communication. The humans had done more than win a battle. They had fundamentally challenged the Confederation's understanding of warfare. Krell understood now. This wasn't about territory. This was about revealing a fundamental truth. Humans represented a revolutionary approach to technological engagement. They didn't just use technology, they transformed it into a living, breathing extension of human potential. The last alien tactical officer disappeared. No explosion, no dramatic moment. Just a precise elimination that suggested something far more terrifying than simple military superiority. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. J. Park adjusted his scope. Another potential target, Another mathematical solution waiting to be calculated. The engagement was over. The message was sent. The rumors spread faster than light itself. Whispers of the silent hunters crawled through alien communication networks, creating a fear that no weapon could manufacture. Entire military academies across the Confederation began teaching a new lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. J. Park understood psychological warfare better than most. It wasn't about killing. It was about creating an atmosphere of constant invisible threat. Alien commanders started refusing deployment. Military units that once boasted about their technological superiority now hesitated. The mere mention of human special forces caused entire battle groups to reconsider their missions. Seok Kim, the human tactical coordinator, watched the psychological transformation with calculated satisfaction. Each canceled mission was a victory, without firing a single shot. The Confederation's intelligence networks worked overtime, trying to understand how a species could create such profound psychological impact. They studied human communication, training protocols, and technological systems, but they missed the fundamental truth. Humans transformed fear into a tactical weapon. Hyun Choi managed communication systems that sent carefully designed signals. Not messages of aggression, but subtle reminders of human capabilities. A brief transmission here. A precision-targeted communication burst there. Each signal carried an unspoken threat. Alien diplomatic channels became infected with a new language, of fear. Discussions that once centered on territorial expansion now included careful considerations about potential human responses. The psychological landscape had changed completely. Military simulations across alien worlds began incorporating human tactics. Training programs that once focused on traditional warfare now included complex psychological preparation. How do you prepare for an enemy that can eliminate you from distances beyond visual comprehension? Jay's reputation grew beyond physical reality. Stories circulated about impossible shots, about entire military units eliminated without a trace. Some were true, some were exaggerated, but the psychological impact remained consistent. The Confederation's leadership discovered something unexpected. Physical superiority meant nothing against an enemy that understood psychological manipulation. At a fundamental level, humans didn't just fight wars. They redesigned the entire concept of conflict. Alien soldiers began experiencing what human psychologists called anticipatory stress, a constant state of psychological tension created by the potential of unseen threat. Every shadow became a potential human sniper. Every communication burst might carry elimination. Hyun's communication systems worked like psychological instruments, not just transferring information, but creating complex emotional landscapes that destabilized alien military thinking. Each transmission carried multiple layers of potential meaning. Seok Kim understood that true warfare happened in the mind long before any physical engagement. Humans had transformed psychological manipulation into a sophisticated technological art form. The galaxy watched and learned. Traditional military understanding collapsed. Entire defense strategies were rebuilt around the potential of human intervention. Not because humans were necessarily more powerful, but because they understood the complex psychology of conflict at a level never seen before. Alien intelligence agencies developed entire departments focused on understanding human psychological tactics. They studied communication patterns, technological approaches, and the unique human ability to turn fear into a strategic weapon. Jay Park represented more than a soldier. He was a walking representation of a new kind of warfare, one where psychological potential was as important as physical capability. The Silent Hunters became more than a nickname. They became a concept that reshaped galactic military understanding. A reminder that technological superiority wasn't about weapons, but about the ability to control perception and create strategic uncertainty. Hyun continued sending carefully designed communication bursts, each transmission a complex mathematical equation of potential threat. Not actual aggression, but the constant suggestion of potential action. Alien military leadership discovered a fundamental truth. Sometimes the most effective weapon is the one never fired. The potential of action could be more powerful than action itself. The psychological warfare had begun, and humanity was writing entirely new rules of engagement. Jay adjusted his scope. Another potential target. Another mathematical possibility waiting to be calculated. The research facility floated silently in deep space, a massive technological complex dedicated to understanding the human phenomenon. Confederation scientists worked around the clock, their multiple appendages moving across complex holographic displays trying to decode the impossible. J. Park's neural scans had become the most studied dataset in galactic scientific history. What they discovered challenged everything they thought they knew about biological adaptation and technological integration. Human neurological patterns were unlike anything previously observed. Where alien species saw distinct boundaries between biological systems and technological interfaces, humans demonstrated a fluid, almost organic connection that defied traditional understanding. Seok. Kim watched the research unfold, a slight smile playing across his lips. Humans weren't just using technology, they were becoming technology in ways no other species could comprehend. The primary discovery came from unexpected sources. Human snipers didn't just use advanced equipment, their brains had developed unique neural pathways that allowed near-impossible levels of precision and coordination. Muscle memory, cognitive processing, and technological interfaces merged in ways that seemed to rewrite biological limitations. Hyun Choi's brain scans revealed something extraordinary. Neural connections that allowed instantaneous calculation of complex mathematical trajectories, not through artificial enhancement, but through natural evolutionary adaptation that seemed to accelerate with technological exposure. Confederation researchers found themselves facing a fundamental challenge. Humans weren't just adapting to technology, they were evolving alongside it. Each technological advancement seemed to trigger subtle biological modifications that enhanced human capabilities. The quantum-linked neural interfaces used by human snipers represented more than advanced equipment. They were a living demonstration of a species that saw technology as an extension of biological potential rather than a separate system. Alien scientists attempted to replicate human neural patterns. Failure after failure proved one simple truth. Human adaptation was not something that could be simply copied or manufactured. It was a complex organic process that went beyond traditional technological understanding. Jay's physical capabilities told an equally remarkable story. Muscle density, reaction times, and cognitive processing worked together in ways that transformed the human body into a living technological system. Each movement was a complex mathematical equation of potential action. The research revealed layers of human potential that terrified and fascinated in equal measure. Humans didn't just use technology, they integrated with it at a fundamental biological level. Their nervous systems had developed unique capabilities that allowed near-instantaneous processing of complex environmental data. Hyun's communication systems demonstrated another layer of technological evolution. Neural links that could process and transmit information at speeds that made traditional communication systems seem primitive, not through artificial enhancement, but through natural biological adaptation. Confederation leadership began to understand the true challenge. Humans weren't just another species to be categorized or controlled. They represented a fundamental shift in the understanding of biological and technological potential. The quantum-stabilized rifles used by human snipers were more than weapons. They were living extensions of human cognitive capabilities. Each weapon seemed to adapt to its user, creating a symbiotic relationship that defied traditional technological understanding. Seok Kim's research teams continued their work, each discovery opening more complex questions. How does a species evolve so rapidly? What hidden potential lay within human biological systems? Alien scientists worked tirelessly, their multiple appendages moving across complex research interfaces. But deep down, they understood a fundamental truth. Humans represented something entirely new in the galactic ecosystem. The technological evolution wasn't just about equipment, It was about a species that saw technology as a living, breathing extension of biological potential. Each advancement was a step toward something entirely unprecedented. J. Park represented more than a soldier. He was a walking demonstration of human potential, a complex system where biology, technology, and cognitive capabilities merged into something entirely new. The research continued. The discoveries multiplied, and the galaxy watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent when human representatives entered. No dramatic speeches, no grand declarations, just a quiet, calculated presence that spoke volumes without a single word. J. Park stood at the edge of the diplomatic delegation, his presence alone a statement of potential action. Beside him, Hyun Choi managed communication systems that hummed with subtle technological complexity. Confederation leaders understood the new reality. Humans weren't asking for recognition. They were establishing a new galactic order through pure potential. Diplomatic channels that once buzzed with territorial disputes now carried a different tone. When humans mentioned strategic interests, entire planetary systems would recalculate their positions. No threats were needed. The reputation preceded them. Seok Kim understood the power of deterrence. It wasn't about showing strength. It was about creating an atmosphere of calculated uncertainty. Alien military academies had completely redesigned their training protocols. New courses emerged: human psychological warfare, technological adaptation strategies, understanding, silent engagement. Each curriculum carried the unspoken message. Humans were not to be underestimated. The quantum-linked communication networks became a silent battlefield, not of active conflict, but of constant potential. Each transmission carried multiple layers of meaning, each signal a complex mathematical equation of possible action. Entire alien civilizations began adjusting their expansion strategies. Where they once planned aggressive territorial movements, they now calculated potential human responses. A single human communication burst could cause entire military plans to collapse. Jay's reputation had become something between a legend and a tactical concept. The Silent Hunter was no longer just a nickname. It represented a new understanding of strategic engagement. Confederation intelligence agencies developed entire departments dedicated to understanding human potential. Not through traditional espionage, but through complex mathematical modeling of human technological and psychological capabilities. Yun's communication systems worked like invisible strategic instruments, not aggressive, not threatening, just a constant reminder of human potential. Each transmission a subtle demonstration of technological superiority. The galactic balance of power had transformed. Humans hadn't conquered through traditional military means. They had reshaped the entire concept of conflict and diplomatic engagement. Alien diplomatic representatives learned a new language, not of direct confrontation, but of careful consideration. Every discussion now included the unspoken question: what would human response be? Seok Kim watched the transformation with calculated satisfaction. Deterrence wasn't about showing force. It was about creating an atmosphere of constant, calculated potential. Research facilities across multiple star systems continued studying human technological adaptation. Each discovery revealed more complex layers of human potential, not just as a species, but as a fundamental reimagining of biological and technological integration. The quantum-stabilized rifles that had become legendary were more than weapons. They were symbols of a new approach to strategic engagement. Each weapon represented generations of technological and biological evolution. J. Park represented more than an individual. He was a walking demonstration of human potential, a complex system where technological capability, psychological strategy, and biological adaptation merged into something unprecedented. Alien military leaders discovered a fundamental truth. The most powerful weapon was not physical destruction, but the potential of action. Humans had transformed fear into a sophisticated strategic tool. Diplomatic negotiations that once lasted weeks now concluded in hours. the mere presence of human. Representatives created an atmosphere of immediate strategic recalculation. Hyun's communication systems continued their silent work. Not aggressive transmissions, but complex signals that carried multiple layers of potential meaning. Each burst a reminder of human technological sophistication. The galactic ecosystem had fundamentally changed. Humans hadn't conquered through traditional means. They had reshaped the entire understanding of strategic engagement. Jay adjusted his stance, a simple movement that carried volumes of potential action. The galaxy watched and understood.